Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of College Football UK podcast brought to you by the AAW Network. I am your host Fletch, and joining me as ever is the one and only Nick Cosgrove. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be Chris today, so
No,
I've gone
you're
with
okay.
Nick, but yeah, I wasn't sure.
You're okay. She's not here today. School
Okay.
holidays are over. Um,
As mentioned on the other pod the other night, he stuck her up with coffee. He stocked her up with chocolate eggs and sent her on her way.
that child is still bouncing up walls at her mother's
Uh,
house.
yes, and will be all week.
And if you couldn't already tell, also joining us is Gary. How are you, sir?
Woo, woo, woo. Hey boys, welcome back. Oh, what a week! What a week for college football! What a week for football this is. Oh, looking forward to tomorrow.
Yes.
Lucky enough on Monday to jump on the Hurdle Bit of Football crossover podcast with you boys
Yeah.
and hand over the draft, which was I thought a lot of fun, a lot of strange picks, but I thought it was a good laugh. Yeah, but now ready to dive into some college stuff.
Yes, lovely. So we'll start. Well, the best place to start is probably the house rules actually right now. So today, the day of release, it is draft day. Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived. This is the official handoff point from college football to the NFL. It's one of my three favorite days of the year.
Get your pancakes. Enjoy your pancakes, Fletch.
I will be, cannot wait. So,
Have you
with
watched
that in
Rudy yet,
mind,
Nick?
Have I? No, I haven't watched it yet. It'll probably be tomorrow afternoon or today when this is released. It'll probably be the afternoon's viewing. Um, so I'll just have to turn the bit down when he tells him to do it because the kids will probably be around and they don't need to hear that.
Don't need to hear that. No.
No.
so I will also. It is. Well, you got to watch draft day before the draft. That's
It's
a given.
law.
Have you? I'm
It's
gonna say.
law.
Guess it's. Have you been? Have you watched it yet? Is it going to be watched tomorrow?
Watched it on Sunday. Just to start the week off, it's draft
Yeah.
week. Bam, got it in. Found it on whatever streaming site it was available in the UK. There are many of them. I can't remember which one it was,
Yeah.
but yeah, watched it. Got all my picks back. You pancake eating bleep bleep bleep
Yeah.
bleep bleep bleep
And that's why I won't watch that bit.
bleep. And Vontae Mack, no
It's.
matter what. I'm sorry if this is spoiling it for anybody, but if it is, then where have you been?
Um. I will. I will be watching it. My plan is tomorrow. Get home from work and have a quick nap, probably because I'll be knackered after work. And then when Mrs. Fletch gets home, it'll be dragging Mrs. Fletch, going sit down. It's draft day. We're watching draft day. If you're gonna be married, this is just known this for now 3 years. But this is the tradition. This is what we do in this household. Right? We watch
Yeah,
draft day on draft day.
yeah. Mrs. Groovy watched it with me, and shall we say was less than complimentary about the movie itself. And my point being, it's not real life; it's a movie. Suspend belief. This isn't what really happens. So she was laughing at some of the
Actually, a very unrealistic trade scenario as well.
Yeah.
Because
some of
why are the Seattle Seahawks, who are the Super Bowl champions from the previous year, picking
drafting
first?
first. Yeah,
The only way I can work that out is they traded the previous year with somebody and
someone
just got
else.
lucky.
They just got like they traded away, and that first round pick ended up being from the worst team.
That's the only team I can, that's the only way I can work it out.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it doesn't
just
work for
yeah,
me.
you just
Oh,
got to absolutely suspend belief, haven't you?
some script writer was just like, do you know what? Pete Carroll, can't stand him.
Yes, whatever. Yeah,
Can't stand him. Um, with that in mind, like I say, house rules. So go into the description of this episode, you'll find a load of links. Those are to follow us, follow the AAW Network, follow College Football UK on social media, and come and join us on Discord. Now, tomorrow night, well, say tonight, actually, on the day of recording, we'll be live. Probably in the Discord, we'll be talking hopefully all day about the upcoming draft. And then maybe just a little bit on the Discord voice channel if you would not like to do that, then there is some excellent coverage happening over on the Pat's Touchback. Nick, do you want to give us a quick shout out as to what's going on tomorrow on the Pat's Touchback?
Yes, me, obviously me from the college football podcast and Patriots Touchback, and Carl, who's on Hurdle the Line
Mhm.
and Patriots Touchback. We will be doing a live watch along for the entirety of the first round. So hopefully you're going to grace us with your presence for a little while,
I
Fletch. Might do.
I'm thinking about it. I'm weighing up my
Right.
options right now.
Okay. So we're at the very least there'll be the two of us. We'll try and get some people to appear and disappear and
Yeah.
what have you. And then on Friday, if you haven't had enough content, on Friday there'll be no Carl, but there will be me doing a live watch along of rounds 2 and 3. There'll be a couple of the other Patriot Touchback members also on for a little bit, probably until the
You hope.
Patriots. Well, I think they'll
You
probably be on until the Patriots pick their second round pick at like
and it'll be
38,
out of
and then
here. Yeah, like,
they'll
yeah.
all clear off to bed, and I'll be left holding the baby.
Uh,
But again, I've got a couple of ideas to keep going. I'm tapping up who I can to pop on for little bits. Yeah, and then I'm having Saturday off because I'm not doing Saturday as well. But so yeah,
nobody needs to be doing rounds 4,
Patriots
5, and
Touchback.
6
We
or
will
whatever.
have watch-alongs for the first 3 rounds on our channel. So
Lovely. Lovely. And don't forget that Patriots Touchback are also part of the AAW Network. They
yes, we are.
are our new cousin. Whatever we call podcast, really. I don't know what you call these things. This is all still to an extent new to me. So yeah, make sure you go head over to the description and follow us on socials, follow all the hosts on socials, follow the network, follow the pod. Get us on Discord, come chat with us in the Discord, and then like I say, come and join us maybe tomorrow night in the voice channel, and then also give a shout out to the Patriots Touchback who will be doing live streams, and make sure you go and watch them and show some love over there also. And do you know what? I've weighed my options up, and what
It's a busy
Chris?
man with all of he's got so many demands on
Hey,
his time.
listen, I sounds like a job. I sound like I've had offers. Listen for tomorrow
Ooh.
night. I've had multiple offers.
Mm.
Multiple being two, but they are still more than
It's
one.
still
So
more than one. Still more than one. I personally, I will be hosting a 49ers Faithful UK watch along. So unfortunately, I will be otherwise engaged. So
no worries. Well,
won't be
if
able
you
to
are
join you
on
guys.
the 49er side of things and you do want to do it, go and
Go find us,
it's got
49ers
all the
Faithful
FSU
UK.
fans that dropped off after a while when Gary stopped turning up. You can all
They're all
bugger off
back.
over
They're
there.
all back again now. They'll all be
You
coming back.
showed your true colours. Go follow Gary. Anyway,
Careful.
where
Be
we were
careful
at.
what you wish for there.
Anyway, where we were at. The
Where we
yeah,
at? Sam's joined us.
go and
Sam, the
chat
man, is in the
on
house.
Discord, all the links, and then obviously, as we've just said, Sam has turned up. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. All good.
We'd
Back
love to hear it.
back from the dead. Not been on for a while, so
Good to see you, man. You're looking wild man of the north with the hair and the beard getting on there. You're
yeah,
really you're leaning into that sort of
yeah, I'm
Santa
gonna
look. You're getting ready for Christmas now, are you?
yeah. I haven't got my hat. I don't know where it is. Otherwise, I'd be wearing a hat. I normally do, but everyone gets to
get
see my hair, which
get him a
normally it's
plaid
the other way
shirt, and he'll
around.
look like a lumberjack.
Well, not normally people wear hats to cover up their bad hair, but I have a lot of it, so I'm just covering. I don't know why I'm covering it up half the
Thanks, Sam.
time.
I'm the only one who didn't take the piss out of the way you look, and I'm the one who apparently caught it straight. Yes, I have bad hair. So what?
Didn't take the piss. It's the first time I've seen Sam, and he looks more hirsute since the last time I've seen him. That's all I was saying.
You called him Father Christmas.
Look
In
at
all
him!
fairness, the beard is going grey, so I'm not far
It's
off.
right there, mate. It's just a little bit of spray snow on that, and it'll be Father Christmas around the kids on something. I can tell. I can see it happening already.
That's why he was late. He was just filling his beard in with Just for Men.
Yeah,
Get a
good to know
L'Oreal
getting
out.
that on there.
Yeah. Other
And then-
products are available.
Anyway,
Just in case they're Fletch, I've got to make sure the advertising revenue comes in.
Listen, Dove are vicious when listening to this. How dare you mention me?
Yeah. You
Um,
mentioned other products.
feel free to sponsor us, though. Don't have to just sit here and complain
Hey,
when
we
we
love
mention
Dove. Dove is great. Dove is a wonderful product.
it. Yeah, enough about male grooming. Um,
Yeah, before we end up somewhere we don't know what to be talking about.
so let's get on to the news. Let's get on to college football. Let's focus in on what we're here to talk about. Nick, I believe you've got a couple of pieces of news for us.
I do. The NCAA have introduced some new timeout rules for this coming season. Um, Basically, it's to combat fake injuries. Players going down because they're not set or ready. So basically, what the NCAA have said is if medical personnel are required to enter the field of play after the ball is spotted by an official, the timeout will be charged to that team. If the team has no timeouts left, it will result in a 5-yard delay of game penalty.
Ooh.
So we saw late in the season one of the one of the teams was trying to get a change of personnel. They didn't do it in time, and so they were just screaming to their lineman, "Go down!" And he just lay on the floor and held it. So I think the idea is to stop that basically.
Stop the block.
They have also said that with regards to overtime, um, each team will receive a timeout if the game reaches a third overtime period. So both teams will get a fresh timeout if you go to 3 overtimes. There is a load of other rules that the NCAA have introduced. You can go to their website and see them all, but they were the two timeout ones that I noticed that were of sort of decent interest
Yeah.
that I was thought might be worth it. So that's come from the top. Nico Limilava has completed his move to UCLA from Tennessee. He's taken his brother with him as well.
Nice
Madden.
backfielder they've got there.
Yeah, Madden's gone
Madden.
from Arkansas and Nico's gone from Tennessee.
I feel sorry for the kit man. He's got a lot of letters. He's got a lot of letters to stitch on there, hasn't he?
He has. Funnily enough, UCLA QB Joey Aguilar has gone the other way. He's gone to Tennessee.
Don't blame him, quite frankly.
Yeah, so they've done a swap and picked up an extra one at the same time. Oklahoma defensive tackle David Stone has withdrawn from the transfer portal. He will stay at Oklahoma. The transfer portal closes on Friday, I believe, if my knowledge is correct.
Day 2 of the draft.
Yeah, and this is the biggest. I know we've got some big news here, and I'm leaving it right to the end. But even though
the best to
we've
last.
got big news at the end, I think this is the cream of the cake. This is the middle. This is the juicy bit. Notre Dame quarterback Steve Angeli has left the Fighting Irish.
Who?
It's very sad. Steve Angeli.
No, I meant no.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Third string QB, fourth.
He was second string QB last year. I think he was probably going to be first string QB this year, but he's left. He's entered the transfer portal and he has signed for somebody who I haven't written down because I didn't really care.
Because he's dead to you now.
Yes, staying on Notre Dame. Kendi Urlacher, who's the son of Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher. He has also transferred out of the Fighting Irish. He's gone to USC, so he's dead to me as well.
What's going on in North Bend? South Bend? South Bend. South Bend or North?
Yeah.
South Bend.
South Bend.
Sorry.
And the only other two pieces of news with regards to that are not the big one, unfortunately, they are not great pieces of news. Missouri State safety Todrick McGee. He has died in hospital from injuries sustained at his residential home. And Cincinnati offensive lineman Jeremiah Kelly has died unexpectedly at his off-campus residence. No reason for his death has been announced. So with regards to both players, it's very sad.
Sad news.
All of us on the podcast send our condolences. And, you know, 20, Todrick McGee was 21 and Jeremiah Kelly was 18. So both young lads that,
Prime of all their
you know,
life ahead of them. Sad news. Sad news.
indeed.
Going back to Angeli, he's not gone anywhere yet, but he has visited Syracuse.
Dead to me anyway.
Fighting Irish. Fighting
I
Irish.
would think that Fletch probably has more of an interest in the guy who's going to potentially become the starter in CJ Carr, because he's the grandson of Lloyd Carr, who's a Michigan man.
Michigan man through and through.
And
Interesting.
finally,
Interesting.
Fletch,
Oh,
do you
come on.
want to hit the last bit
Who
of
does
news?
Who wants to do the
Well,
big
actually, there is one other
college
bit
football
of
news?
sad, genuinely sad news that I want to kind of interject with
Go
here
on.
at the end. Mike Patrick, legendary ESPN commentator, was commentator on the NFL for years, and was also the voice of college football on Saturdays for ESPN for, I believe, it was nearly 11, 12 years. Some of my favourite early commentary moments of watching college football as and when I could and sporadically were of Mike Patrick. He passed away on the 20th, so 3 days ago as of the point of recording. So that'd be Monday.
Big news
That's
for ESPN recently, isn't it? With the retirement of coach and now Mike Patrick going too.
yeah. So
We never
he was with
mentioned coach
ESPN
last week, did we?
with ESPN for over 35 years. And again, this may not be a lot of the newer fans of college football, particularly in the UK, might not have a clue who he is, which he hasn't been on since 2018. But for those of us who've watched for a while, or and from the ESPN player days when we could get multiple ESPN games in the UK.
Ah, those were the days.
Horrible news. And obviously, like I say, thoughts of the network with Mike Patrick's friends and family and former colleagues, because 35
Indeed.
is nothing to shake at. People have known him for a long time.
Absolutely. Just on the back of that, I know we didn't mention it last week, but we probably should have done. But Lee Corso has decided to hang up his
Well, that was just
microphone.
after the podcast, wasn't it?
Just after the pod, it was announced last week. The face, the life and soul,
Literally.
the original game day ESPN guy. I mean, I grew up. If it wasn't for him, college football would mean nothing to me. This guy was legendary in every sense of the word.
Yes.
He's decided to retire. He's been with ESPN since what? I think 85, 86, somewhere like that. He's been the face of college game day from its inception. He's been the only mainstay. May he have a well-deserved long retirement, and we wish him well. And thank you for everything, Coach. You have been just an amazing.
He's got a very big head.
He does have a big head. That is one thing you have to say about him. He does have a big head. We love the man. Anyway,
have you
that's
guys
all the
mentioned about the judge, the thing in Raleigh, North Carolina?
No.
No.
Is that the
Injunction.
four law? Yes, I saw that. I didn't have a chance to read it in detail before we started as to whether it was worth bringing up. But if you've brought it up, you go for it.
Yeah.
So essentially, what's happened is a judge has denied a preliminary injunction on Tuesday, so yesterday, sought by 4 college football players who had sued to gain an additional season of eligibility. Apparently, there was not sufficient evidence provided, and essentially, it came as a response to similar lawsuits filed by former Duke football players Ryan Smith and Trayshawn Devones. Apologies if I pronounced them wrong, as well as another from former Duke player Cameron Bergeron and ex-North Carolina player J.J. Jones. Their complaint sought to prevent the NCAA from following its long-standing policy of having athletes complete 4 years of eligibility within a 5-year window.
I wonder what their
Okay.
argument was then. Why were
They
they
wanted
thinking
to
they
play
could?
longer, basically.
They wanted to play longer because NIL was banding around and they
Yeah.
thought they could get a bit of money out of it. But what
I
was
think
their
it was a
argument?
case of they had.
Missed a year
I'm
for
not saying
COVID?
I'm not saying they're not any good. I think what they were trying to get at was they would prefer to play longer in college because they wouldn't make it at the professional level, and so they wanted to play in the, you
One
know,
final hurrah year of
yeah,
padding the bank account.
basically, if you could earn £100,000 in, college
Mm.
football because you're not going to earn anything in the professional
Because
game,
you're not going
that's
to
a
get
lot better.
drafted, you're not going to
Yeah,
play football ever again. But you
as
could.
I read it, that's where I was sort of understanding that they wanted to play in college more than they were being told they could.
Yeah, so essentially, attorneys for the players argued they warranted an additional year because of circumstances presented in the filings, which had claimed their careers were derailed by injuries, ailments, and personal difficulties. The athletes claimed that the loss of potential earnings, $100,000 to $500,000, stemmed from rules that now allow athletes to profit from using their name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, so they wanted to cash in on their NIL. They've been injured or had issues that have prevented them having a full season as one of their 5 years.
Mhm.
Bad luck. But I guess the judge has gone, shit happens.
Essentially, there wasn't enough, but I think for most of them, their arguments probably stem from COVID because we're still technically in the 5-year period for COVID. So
Technically, yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, it's still just the tail end, isn't it? They've still got within that.
Yeah, we're
And
talking about people who would have been
we've got
freshmen.
tight ends coming. We've got tight ends going to the draft who have had how many years playing football? 8, 9 years or whatever it is. The Miami, is it Miami? Sure, it's somebody in Miami. There's one of the tight ends, Florida or somewhere, who's finally gone to the draft after 9 years. Or is he actually playing again for a 10th year or something? You know who I'm talking about, right?
I know who you're talking about.
Long blonde perm, big blonde perm. I think he's playing in college again.
I think he's got another
in
year,
college
isn't he?
again.
Yeah. I'm sure it's Florida.
Cam McCormick,
He is.
tight end for Miami.
Oh, Florida,
He
Miami.
previously played 7 seasons at Oregon before transferring to Miami in 2024. In 2024, the NCAA granted him his 9th year of eligibility.
But then
'Cause he
again,
did-
if he is doing doctorates and he's still at
Yeah.
uni and he's still doing, if he's doing postgraduate study or he's studying to be a doctor or whatever else, you kind of go, still a student.
Yeah.
You can't say he can't.
Yeah.
Although, as Sam just said, you've got 4 football years in 5. Interesting. How he's got
but
away with that.
It's the living embodiment of the Steve Buscemi gif with skateboard over his shoulder and out and said, going, "How do you do, fellow kids?"
Fellow youth.
So yeah.
Anyway, we haven't even got to the biggest news yet, and we've managed to waste half an hour of a podcast. It's impressive.
Massive piece of news that came out yesterday from the day of recording. Now, many of you may know that we're headed out to Dublin in 2025. We're going to go watch Kansas State versus Iowa State. And if today's anything to go by,
Dublin
the way,
repeat.
Kansas State gonna
Bar me.
absolutely just kick
Yeah,
them.
it's going to be a one-sided. It's going to be a defensive masterclass with lots of interceptions.
Yes.
If anything, if the game that was pre-played just before we jumped on is anything to go by.
Yeah. And Nick will still be waiting to get in after half an hour.
That is a stray bullet I could just caught there. Wow.
Absolutely catching strays there, Nick, unfortunately.
Kind of.
However, the news.
Then there was a game planned for 2027, which will be Wisconsin versus Pitt, but there's been no game planned for 2026. This was announced yesterday that Bill Belichick and his University of North Carolina Tar Heels will be making their way over to the Emerald Isle to face Texas Christian University. That would be TCU, the Horned Frogs.
On the Frogs.
in Dublin next year, August 29th, week
Get it
zero,
in the diary.
college
Get it
kickoff.
in the calendar.
So, two things. One, are we excited to see it? One, well, the 2026 game, get Bill Belichick over. And two, he missed last year. He missed that this year. Sam, tell
Get it in the diary now,
your
Sam.
lovely, lovely
It's
wife, name her price, I will pay it.
Ugh.
We will send babysitters. We will get this. So
in
you
all
have
in
to
all
be in
fairness,
Dublin.
he'll be at an age where I could probably take him,
Yes,
Ooh.
yes.
get him in early.
All down for this is
I
absolutely down.
Down for this.
I will
Baby grows.
say,
Baby
I
grows
will
in
say,
Tar Heel colours.
I said this off pod before we started. I am still, I am still suffering PTSD from watching the Patriots in Germany under Belichick. I don't know whether I can take watching more Belichick. I may have to certainly seek some medical attention before
You
I
may
can
need to
commit to
seek
this
some.
one.
You may
The
need to
thing is
seek
though,
some liquid courage
there's
to get through that.
there's no personal like attachment to this version of Bill Belichick though. Like it's not impacting you because it's not
Yeah, but I
like the
volunteered to be the
Patriots
Bill
or
Belichick. I volunteered to be the Bill Belichick, correspondent for the podcast. So
But think about it though. Think about it though, Nick. This is early Bill Belichick at the Tar Heels, right? So it's the good side of the bit. Whereas what you saw in Germany was the tail end of the Patriots Belichick era, which we can all agree was
was
5 years
great.
of dire dross.
No, it was great.
yes,
It was great to watch.
It was great to watch for everybody else, but unless you were a Patriots fan. So
Um,
I think this is a steal. This is an absolute steal for the guys in Pro Football Ireland and the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. All credit to them. They have been working absolutely incredibly hard to absolutely
yeah,
anything coming out of Ireland at the moment, NFL and college related. Fair play to them. They are killing it.
yeah.
This is a great matchup. It's been bandied around for a while. 2026 was always, oh, why is there not a game in there? We've got 27, we've got 28. Why is 26 such a gap?
Well,
To pull this off, stunning piece of work.
I don't
with the
think.
Steelers are arriving in Ireland as well, so you don't want
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
miss out. You don't want to miss
hype.
out and miss a year and let the
Yeah,
And let the
Steelers
NFL take
steal
over,
the.
as we said
Yeah,
last
you
year
really
when we were
yeah.
want
in Dublin.
This was the whole thing. I don't want to see this take away the college from what college football has done in Ireland and the groundwork. But a couple of things on that. One, I actually think it's a brilliant idea to bring little man over. But all I get is visions of, and you'll all the scene from The Hangover where they're walking through with the baby.
Yeah. Waking up the next morning going, who's got the baby?
to.
Yeah.
No. Well, we're not going to enact any sort of child negligence. We're not throwing that out there. Like not none at all, especially if Amy's within earshot. We're not no child
That is not the
negligence will
plan.
take
We'll all
place.
be sensible.
Little man will always be safe, but it does just give me vibes of like movies like The Hangover when you just see four grown men just walking through with a baby,
Yep.
which is
Four men
always
and a little baby. Can't we? Oh, we can reenact that one. There's a throwback to the 80s.
yeah.
Mm.
But also I think it doesn't go without saying that I think it needs to be said that the hard work that's been put in, not just by the guys over at College Football Ireland, by the way, who have worked like Blue Arse Flyers, and we are part of, we've been very lucky to be privy to some information regarding this. Not a lot. We haven't been given any serious information prior to this. We found out who it was going to actually be at the same time as everybody else. But in February, it looked like 2026 was just not going to happen at all. And they'd all but given up. And then this has happened. But I think with the inclusion of the Steelers game in Ireland and what's going on there at the moment with the Irish NFL players that are taking over, with
Yeah,
multiple
basically
Irish players in college
multiple
football as
punters.
well. And also it cannot be understated the guys like Ben Isaacs who championed college football in the UK so well for so long, Oliver Hodgkinson and all those guys, but also in Ireland, Michael McQuaid and the Pro Football Ireland team, what they have done is just incredible. And then going on to the guys at the guys at Talking Balls, who have also
Yeah.
put in so much work on the ground by bigging up the game in Ireland that we get to. We're not Irish. We are
Apart from on the
tourists.
17th of February, right? Or whatever, 17th, whenever our Paddy's Day is.
That's how Irish you are.
Yeah,
The
somewhere around there.
we are very much tourists when it comes to football in Ireland, but I know we kind of take it on as if it's part of us over here. But well, kind of the community of it all. And if it happens over this side of the Atlantic Ocean, we all kind of feel like we have some part in it. But what those guys have done in Ireland for all of that has been
Outstanding.
excellent,
Outstanding.
absolutely
They
outstanding.
deserve all the kudos and credit and applause that we can give them. And I know they're not watching because I know most of those guys are standing on the field at Lambeau right now, enjoying the fact that they are at the NFL draft, and fair play to them, why the hell not? But those guys have absolutely rocked it. Yeah, and they deserve all of the credit that's coming their way. What they don't deserve is another very drunk Pat McAfee. That was a mess.
I disagree, but the
Pat McAfee
entertainment
doesn't even
value
remember.
alone.
He doesn't even
Do you
remember.
know what? The pictures we saw of him, by the way, at like 5 in the morning on the Friday night, Saturday morning. Couple of hours later, we're in Ireland, and he's there on stage acting like nothing's happened. I am considerably younger than Pat McAfee. I can't do that. Not anymore. 10 years ago, I could. I
Maybe.
can't anymore.
Yeah. That was fair play. The man is a machine to have done what he did on the Friday night and still managed to actually be upright and talking and lucid on a Saturday, unless he just powered through and was still drunk on game day, which
And he took a beating on Raw on Monday night as well.
didn't he just? Didn't he just?
That is also a thing that definitely happened, and I completely agree.
Fletch is the only one that didn't watch it, clearly.
I definitely watched it. I watched that thing happened, and I
What they
felt
just
the
talked
same.
about. Yeah.
I felt the same way you guys did about it. Unless you all felt differently, then I agree with
And
Sam.
you agree with the total consensus leaning in, going, yeah, I totally with whatever you
I
just
think
talked about.
you got away with that, Fletch. I think you got away with that one.
Yeah.
Got away with
Styled it
what?
out nicely.
Got away with what? I love baseball.
Anyway, that's the
So-
news. 45 minutes later.
Well, say news. That's about it for news. So what I thought we'd do on Monday, we recorded just about after tech issues and everything else got in the way. We recorded a full first round mock draft. It's a lot easier just say it that way.
Why didn't you start with that rather
With
than what
hurdle
you...
the light, because I have way too much confidence and faith in myself, Gary. We recorded one of those with Hurdle the Line. You can go and check that out over on the AAW Network YouTube channel, which you can find anyway through the links in the bio, or go to the Hurdle the Line on any of the podcast platforms. Listen to that. Now, that covers day one. I thought it's only fair that we get to cover day 2 and day 3, because, do you know what? We have more college football knowledge than those lot. So this is where we come to shine. And this is
Allegedly,
where
right?
Nick's big board is going
This
to
is where
get
Nick's
so
big board.
flexed.
Yeah, flex the board, Nicky boy.
So Nick,
A lot of the players I've got in front of me on my piece of paper aren't on my board because they're that low. They're that deep. I've gone for sleepers.
Sleeper, deep
I've
last,
gone
late
for
round picks, late round
sleepers.
flyers. Are you? You're doing
These guys,
sleeper, late round flyers.
apart from two that might go late day 2, we are talking day 3 across the board. We are talking sleeping deep.
Nice.
Nick is the person on Saturday when it's like 11:30. He's still messaging in group chats going, "Told you so."
Good pick. That's a good pick. That's a good pick at 5:15 in the morning, and you're like, who? Some offensive lineman from William and Mary. He's going early. I know he's going earlier than that, but
I would like to say there is a very good reason why I made sure that I negotiated with my ex that she had the children this weekend and that I was free Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday, and then I just happened to pick up a Wembley visit on Sunday, which is my day off. So,
Oh,
I'm
what can you do?
loaded from Thursday through to Monday. Let's rock and roll.
Good for you. Oh, for Sunday. The rest of it, I also share in that. But so I think, well, obviously the best place to start is the start. We're talking early day two as the second round starts.
Right.
The NFL have obviously invited a few people down. One of the big contested ones right now is Jalen Milroe. We've spoke so much about QBs. There's only so long we can beat at this, but there is still questions on certain quarterbacks. There are still questions on where and
Questions
who
on all the
might
quarterbacks apart
fall.
from one.
But the questions right now, and this is where it gets really funny in the day or two before the draft, is certain players just out of nowhere catch some wind, just catch some hype. And
Yep.
this is where we start finding out, especially in early day two, late day one, is where teams really differ in how they value and who they view in comparison to one, just in general, but also what they have in front of them that year specifically in the vacuum. So just going to start on quarterbacks because that's going to take us on to the next thing. We've had first round grade on two quarterbacks. That's it.
I think
And when I
three
say
go in the first.
grade, when I say first round grade, I mean just given the circumstance they are first round quarterbacks. Jalen Milroe is sneaking up and down, in and out of the end of the first, beginning of the second. Jackson Dart. And I do believe that our wonderful Groover has dropped in on the chat here on the recording that Jackson Dart's over under is 24.5. Now I'm not
Shador
gonna guess
Sanders
that's
is
passing yards on the season.
that's basically where they think the over under line is on him being drafted. Currently just over 24th pick. The interesting
The
part of
20
the
the
drop
24th pick would be
Vikings,
Chargers,
Vikings,
Vikings.
So
and they
probably a
will want to
trade
trade
option.
down
Yeah,
They
because
would be a trade
they've
option.
only got 4 picks for the
Yeah, so they
whole of
would
the
trade
draft.
out to
So
get
they'll
they would
trade
trade
out
out
and
for picks.
someone from early in the second, Cleveland, New York Giants, sorry.
Yep.
They'll trade back in for a QB at 24. I mean,
To
to
get
be
the fifth
honest,
round option.
Pittsburgh at 21, they haven't got a second rounder um, at all. So
Yeah.
neither of we.
they could do with maybe trading back a little bit, but they also have a
They are
need. So I
desperate.
mean,
They are desperate for a need. They have a I mean everyone knows they are desperate and everyone is I wouldn't say assuming, but the likelihood is the Steelers are taking Sanders there because he will probably not go before
If
then.
if if the
Yeah.
Giants don't manage to mess it up and pick him,
If the Giants don't mess it up and if he doesn't go to the Saints,
Saints
he's
won't
there
pick
for
him.
the Steelers.
Say
Yeah.
I've got strong. Uh, well, I've got reasonable sources that believe that they have no interest in Shador Sanders.
What you're saying is your reasonable sources are that anonymous coach who just dropped an absolute bombshell on Sanders saying he's an absolute entitled twat in the
No,
nicest
this is
possible way.
from fans that
Yeah.
obviously follow the Saints way more than we do.
Yeah.
They,
I think the Saints. I mean, it's an interesting one. The Saints with Derek Carr's news, it makes them taking a QB much more likely.
I think they're more likely to sit on Rattler for a year and probably bomb out and get someone in the next year or two.
Yeah.
Trial by fire. Everybody, season ticket holders, Saints fans, just
suck it up. It's
bear
going to be a
with us.
bad year. Yeah.
Bear with
I think
us.
the thing
Bear with
is
us.
that
It's going to be bad.
they have got so many needs for this draft that taking an
untried.
like I suppose not necessarily like
He's not a
I suppose
guaranteed first, is he?
yeah,
He's not a
it's a
guaranteed
volatile.
first round.
Yeah, it's a
In
volatile
other
choice.
years, yeah, I think if you look at it, if any of the QBs coming out this year came out last year, second round picks max,
Hmm.
any of them,
Maybe Cam Ward might be a
maybe
bottom
Cam
end
Ward
first, but
bottom end of first, but the
yeah,
QBs that came out last year, head and shoulders above this QB class. I
yeah.
think
I just don't see. I think for me, I think in terms of the Saints, I think they're just going to go with best player available and just hope that they get
they
someone
really should.
relatively decent. Because
And as we said on Monday, they have to go best player available because any best player available there is cheaper because their cost cap is crippling. So they get a rookie, a 5-year deal, saves them millions. That's which is why you think maybe a QB then because of face of the QB, whatever. But as you say, the Saints have holes and needs
they
top
they
to
already
bottom.
they
I
already
mean,
have that rookie quarterback they can rely that they
Yeah,
can basically
throw in.
give it to, which is Rattler,
yeah.
and he showed elements of being okay. I mean, he
I think
wasn't amazing, but he was okay for a Sooner.
what I what I always like to see though is what has he done in the off season? What has he done? Because let's face it, he Rattler was fourth round pick, fifth round pick,
Yeah,
fifth
something like that.
fifth round pick because there wasn't it was Bo Nix. All of a sudden,
Mhm.
six quarterbacks have gone when Bo Nix goes, and then nothing until the fifth round. Um, but like where you are picked in the draft does not matter. Both Gary and Nick can attest to that one. Where you are
Sixth round,
picked in the
seventh
draft,
rounds.
I was going to say
Hmm.
Mr. Irrelevant.
and it doesn't necessarily matter
Pick
what you do.
192 wasn't Tom, wasn't he? 192.
199,
199.
and it doesn't necessarily matter how much you do during your first season. Obviously, well, Brock Purdy was kind of put in a particularly nice, well, a particularly nice part of the season to claim some success. When he was, but Tom Brady didn't play his first
Plenty of
season.
weapons there for him, weren't
Brock
there?
Purdy
No,
barely
that's
played.
oh, for fuck's sake.
Brock Purdy played barely played in the first season until the very, very end when he was desperately needed.
When he got injured, you mean?
It's
Hmm.
it's when what do you do in the what you do in that off season? What you do with that in the information you take in, and how do you read the game now, and then what do you do in that off season to make yourself a better player? Do you go and do workouts voluntary in your own time with players of yours? Do you go and spend time with trainers and your quarterback coaches and all that sort of stuff in the off season? What are you doing and how do you respond in the second year? So Spencer Rattler could come back and be like, he's everything he's done wrong, he's gone and worked on, and all of a sudden he's just this much, much better quarterback. I'm not saying it's unlikely things like that happen. It doesn't happen often, but it is all about what you do in that second year. Now you have a body of information to work with and go off and things to change. So could you see though as the Saints maybe saying at the end of the day though, like if you talk about saving money but also having at least a quarterback to go up with Spencer Rattler, just as even if it's as a backup, wait until the fourth round and take a Dylan Gabriel. Wait until the fifth round and take
Riley
someone
Leonard,
of that ilk,
Will
a Quinn
Howard,
Ewers.
Quim
Um,
Ewers, they'll all be floating around there
because you
as a
know
body.
maybe you don't get
Tank this year. Who's coming out next year? Who's already Archie's not
Nesmeyer,
coming out.
Jewelar, they'll be
Carson
the first.
Beck.
Carson Beck, they'll be the three big ones. Arch Manning's not coming out next year.
No.
No,
No.
He's
he's gonna
gonna
be
stay.
2027.
Um, so the
Who's tanking next year for 2027 number one pick? Are we
it
calling
So
that
might be
I
now?
the
think this.
Saints.
I honestly would think the Saints would want to go for Arch Manning because obviously the Mannings already have they didn't they pick.
Louisiana.
Yeah, they picked Archie as well when he came out of the draft.
He was
So
their last number. He was their last
yeah,
number one quarterback pick, wasn't he?
yeah.
I mean, the other
So
thing is, it's no good. You can't. If they tank this year, they're a year early.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they've got. The Nesmeyer's dad is their. OC. So I don't know whether I said this last week whether Nesmeyer goes and works for his dad.
yeah,
Goes and works for his dad. But if they take a QB next year because they're high up in the draft, they're not then going to be taking Arch Manning a year after.
No.
I say the Colts ride it out with Anthony Richardson this year. Be crap, then say you've got one more shot, even though we know you're going to be crap. Go for it in the third year. Then the Colts, who drafted Peyton Manning all those years ago, then go draft his son. I think the storyline is already written there. I think I'm calling it. I'm calling
The
it.
Giants this year take Travis Hunter at 3, have a reasonably good season, draft 10th or 12th next year, absolutely tank next year, and draft Manning for the Giants at
Do
1.
you know what?
I don't think he's going to be there at 3, but
Okay, I've just hung up the call with it. Right, I was calling it, but I've just hung up the call with it. I'll take it because Eli Manning wasn't drafted by the Giants, but the Eli
You
Manning
think
was,
Eli, you think him wearing blue.
yeah, but so
You
I'll
don't think
take it.
You don't
One
think
of the
Peyton
team.
wearing his Denver Broncos orange, do you?
Well, I
You
say,
think Peyton
but
Manning
Eli
in
Manning.
Colts. I
I
know,
say,
but when you think Peyton Manning, you think Peyton Manning wearing Colts. You don't remember that he actually won the Super Bowl wearing orange.
I
just
get
putting it out there.
early in my NFL watching time, so it's one of those early imprinted memories in my. But it's
Anyway,
a bit.
Just putting it out there. In 2 years' time, we are going to need a quarterback.
But take Dylan Raiola, take his godson. It's a whole family
Absolutely.
thing. Whole family
I
thing.
would take Raiola. I'd take
What?
Raiola or
Who's
Manning.
who's taking Chad Powers though? Who's taking
Niners will
who's
take
taking
him.
Chad Powers?
The San
The Niners will
Antonio
take him at
Browns.
round
Anyone
7.
for anyone who doesn't get that gag, go on YouTube, type Chad Powers, Eli Manning. It is the best 10 minutes on YouTube you'll see, and
And then
Hulu or
you'll end
Disney.
up in a you'll end up in a YouTube horrible rabbit hole, but you'll enjoy that for
The
10 minutes.
Disney Channel, Disney Plus have the Chad Powers TV series airing in the summer, which is Glenn Powell has taken over from Eli Manning. He's going to be Chad Powers, and there's a whole series from Disney on it, which I'm really looking forward to. But I do recommend worth watching Eli Manning going undercover as Chad Powers for 10 minutes at Penn State. That is good YouTube.
It's just quality when he comes in and their faces are like.
It's when he's talking to himself. Think fast, think fast, think fast.
And then he absolutely bins it and nails it, and everyone's like, "Damn, this guy can throw." It's
This
like,
guy's good.
Shit. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, Fletch. We completely derailed the whole pod.
You go. So, well, but where I'm getting at, because I think we focused on, we've gone from, I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about day 2 and 3 this year, and then we've gone to talk about day 1 this year to day 2, day 1 next year to day 1 the year after, which is great. But I think
it shows the depth of our knowledge of college football.
Does.
I think probably one of the big ones for day 2, just bringing it back to that, I think Jalen Milroe is a possible to be taken in that second round. I know obviously we've talked about him potentially going in the first, but I think that there is a possibility. There's a lot of teams that I think would be willing to trade back to potentially get him in the early second.
But if you're going to take him, and as I said this on Monday, and I argued this on Monday on the crossover pod, if you're taking Milroe and you're taking him as a project, he's not a NFL ready QB. It's gonna take a bit of work and whatever else. If you're that set on him being your project, you give up a bit of capital and you take him at 31. You phone up the Eagles, you phone up 30, 31, 32, and you get him at the end of the first for that 5th year cheap free option. If you're set on taking him top of the second, it makes no sense to me to not go up 2 spots, get a free 5th year, and not be 4 years into a project where he's suddenly, in year 3 showed some signs. Year 4, maybe then you're in we need to give this kid a contract. We don't know what he is, but it's an NFL QB contract, therefore it's $60 million a year. Whereas if you give up a couple of seconds and you get a free 5th year to see whether or not, I just can't see, if somebody's set on taking him at the top of the second, why he doesn't go bottom of the first.
I think because it's the teams that necessarily would want to pick him. So like I have seen stuff where obviously at 26 for the Rams, we don't necessarily need the players that we particularly want at that position are either already going to be gone or wouldn't be that high.
Yeah.
And there's the possibility that we look at trading back with the Jags and then taking Milrow in the early second at that point, because we've already committed to coming out of the first. I don't see us then going back into the first to get him. I think he would potentially fall. I don't think we'll take Milrow, but we have had apparently very, very, very positive conversations with him. So, I mean, obviously, read of that what you will. People always say, "Oh, they have good conversations with him, and nothing comes of it." But I think I don't think it's something that will happen. But I just think that you've also got to think that is it worth giving up picks for Milrow? Is he worth those picks? Like, because obviously, if you're going to trade back up into it,
what are you trading for him? If you're giving up your second and 2 future fourths, probably
yeah. But if you're going to have to give up maybe 2 seconds or a second and a third, isn't he really worth giving up that for? That's why I think teams will happily, especially those teams that are maybe in that weird position of, well, we don't really want any of these players, but we'll trade back into the second, like trade down into the second for someone like a Jacksonville, or potentially even a Cleveland Browns, who may want to bring in, because there's a lot of talk I've seen where they take Travis Hunter at 2 and then try and trade back into the first to potentially go and get Sanders and have the duo back together again, which
was snipe the Steelers.
Yeah, that's what I've seen rumors of, or even trading with the Steelers to do it. It's there's obviously loads of rumors going around at the moment, as there always will be. But I think
that's about as likely as getting Vontae Mack and God, what was the running back's name? Frick. Oh, come on, Nick.
Ray Jennings.
There you go, Ray Jennings Jr. Thank you, Cleveland royalty.
There it is. I just think that there is a possibility that you could see a Jalen Milrow going early second, just purely because of the fact that the teams that are probably looking at him, that probably I think the teams that are desperate for a quarterback won't risk him. And I think
he's not a risk of first.
He's not a risk pick. Whereas the teams that are happy to sit on a quarterback for a couple of years, who are interested in making him a project, would happily drop down into the second to potentially get him. Another interesting one that is, I suppose, one for a second round would be Jackson Dart. Again, I've seen his name banded around for a second round pick.
Yeah, high second.
Yeah,
very high second. If you're Jackson Dart at the Dart household, I'd be telling him, don't make, you can make Friday night plans because you won't be around at our house for very long.
Yeah,
our night will be over quite soon.
I did see someone, again, another one where it was that the Giants would happily wait until the second round to take him in the second.
If he's sitting there at 34, the Giants would be silly not to, because all well and good, the Giants have Wilson and Winston as a duo at New York isn't going to set the world on fire. I think if Jackson Dart is available to the Giants at 34, I think they'd be mad to pass it up. A, they'd be mad to pass it up, and B, they would be absolutely crucified by their fan base and the New York media for passing up the potential there. What does your board say, Nick?
I've got Dart at 3.
Yeah.
But I've got Jalen Milrow down at 6, because in between them I've got Kyle McCord and Tyler Shuck.
I cannot count.
Not Tyler Shuck. I'm sorry, I'm laughing about Tyler Shuck because I was on a different podcast last night.
It's the Kyle McCord thing I don't get, because everything that I've watched
sleeping on him, everyone's sleeping on him,
says that he's really good. And that's why I've got him as my 4th best. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm right, but the fact that nobody's talking about him says either I'm really, really wrong,
Or
or
they've found something
that I don't
else.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something else that's come out, which is
Like you say, you
Or
don't know what goes on in these conversations that they have with
yeah.
teams, and whether there's been some, I suppose, like maybe I'm not saying he has a bad attitude, and I don't want to spin that, but potentially there's maybe something within that of they don't see what they want from him from a personality perspective. So
they've checked his birthday party invites.
yeah,
I'm,
He
I'm
he
did.
gonna
hasn't.
drop I'm gonna drop as many references to that movie into this podcast as entirely possible, right? So just bear with me.
No, yeah, absolutely fine. But yeah, well, number one, I can't count. Number two, I so thought Nick was gonna say, "I'm not saying I'm right, just saying everybody else is wrong."
It was crying out for it. It really
It
was.
That would be a very obnoxious thing to say, though, and you know,
You're Mancunian.
yeah, but I'm also not the quarterback whisperer of the NFL.
It's your Mancunian above all things, so therefore obnoxiousness comes as
Look, the way I
standard.
look at it is the only one person that I
Fletch and
know
face.
is as high on Kyle
Hold
McCord
on.
as me is Chris Sims, and he can't even speak English.
Yeah, that's the problem then. If Chris Sims is backing you up, you're in real
You
trouble
know,
there.
so
Because
at the
apparently
moment,
we should be trading Brock Purdy for everything else to go in for and trade up for the first round pick.
so yeah,
I
but
did see that. I did see that. That was weird.
Where's it come from? Trade Brock Purdy. Don't sell him off. Don't give him the contract and go and get the first round draft pick from Tennessee. Yeah, because
Yeah,
so where's that come? Because Cam Ward would fit so well into Carl Shanahan's system.
I do think what could be really
Oh, no.
interesting with quarterbacks is that period after the second round.
Yep.
You know, that sort of like we said, like the Kyle McCords, the Quinn Ewers, the Riley Leonards, the ones that are sort of just probably going to end up as backups for most of their life. Maybe
Yeah,
you know, you probably maybe have
some
one
backup,
that will,
solid sort of journeyman. They'll
you
make a
know,
career out of it, play a
be a
few games, be okay.
one diamond in the rough sort of thing that'll come
Yeah,
through that'll be a star and that.
and
But I
that's
just
where we
think
come to my two quarterback sleepers. I'm getting
oh,
back on it now. We're all going
get on
right.
it.
My
Hang on,
two
we haven't even
quarterback
talked about round. Wait,
sleepers.
we
I
haven't even
swear
talked
to.
about round two.
Hang on. I swear to God, if you mention Riley Leonard,
No,
I know.
go
No, he won't be
way
mentioning
below
Riley.
Riley Leonard. We're
Way
going
down,
lower
way
than
much
Riley
further down.
Leonard.
I've got
We're
a
going
feeling
lower than Riley Leonard.
he's talking
go on
We
something
are
then.
going.
crazy left
We are
field.
going. Curtis Rourke of Indiana
Okay.
and Max Brosmer of Minnesota.
Wow.
You know, these
That's a
two
sixth
boys,
round flyer.
these two boys are going to be, fifth
That's a
round,
team that's
sixth
got
round.
one. That's a team that's got like XX picks in the sixth round and just go, oh, just take that kid. Why not? Right. That's one of
yeah,
those picks.
it's one of those where I think it's gonna be great for the San Antonio Brahmas. The Arlington Renegades will love him. They're not. And I say it like, but
Salt Lake City, whatever they're called, or
yeah, those are the players. Like, I'm not being funny, but they are the players, and Tom Brady was one of them in the draft. And we talk about Brock Purdy, but they are the players that are just like, well, he's
I
left
think
on the
I think
board.
we gotta take the fact that Brock Purdy is a bit of an anomaly. I don't
No, no,
think
no,
any,
but so was
you
Tom
know,
Brady and whatnot. But I'm kind of using the fact that look, these people happen. These are what these people are. Is oh, cool, he's on the board. Like, you might have, again, once you get to the end of that first round, most teams will probably have very similar grades, top 10, top 15. These
mhm.
seem to be changing year on year, that teams have different identities and what the value in may start to be slightly different and whatever. So something in the NFL draft process is evolving from team to team. But the thing that we know is at the end of the day, once you get to that end of that second round, because your team's in the position anyway to be set up for probably a bit more success, and you're a bit of a better team because of what you're picking. you're much more in the position of let's just get whoever's on the board that's like the best. Let's just get whoever's good and
Yeah.
find a way for them to fit, because that's how you build great teams.
There's a lot of teams drafting that have a lot of needs, not drafting for a specific position. Panthers spring to mind, right? They don't need a QB, but they need a lot of bodies in good positions. So they need to draft the best player available to them at that point in time. There's a lot of
Yeah.
teams in that position whereby they have their, they have their face, they have their stars,
Yeah.
but they have needs in areas whereby it's not sexy, it's not fun. The Niners have a massive need at 11 to shore up the offensive line
I think
and at cornerback. But then neither of those are great, sexy picks. But if the
No.
best player available is sitting there, like I was on a podcast last night, and Will Campbell was available to me at 11, I'm taking Will Campbell at 11, absolutely snapping the hands off.
let's take this podcast off him. Not allowed it.
No, it wasn't my podcast. I was invited on, and I laughed my head off because it was like I got a draft. Everything I was getting was like an A+ draft medal because they were picking randomly. But it's
the
that
podcast
kind of thing.
Doolally-land?
Yeah, Doolally on the Orkney Bowl. It was just crazy. But teams are like that. There's teams in 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 who the players they're taking would probably still be available to them at 28, 29, 30, 31. They're going to, that the Ravens are taking a safety, for example.
Yeah.
So Malachi Starks or Nick, help me out.
Nicky Mamori.
Thank you. They're still going to be available where the Ravens are picking, or they'll still be available 4 spots later.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to the Ravens because they're still taking that guy because that's what they need. They don't need to go and reach for anything else. That's what they need. Therefore, they fill that. If they can fill that need 5 spots later, sell that spot and get some extra picks. There's a lot of that sort of stuff mid to late first round where teams are like, hey, we need that linebacker. But we know linebacker would actually be there 6, 8 draft picks later.
You look at
nobody
Seattle.
else needs him. Yeah.
Look at Seattle. Their biggest need is
wide receiver.
Well, no, I would say their biggest need is a guard on their O line. That's their biggest need.
Sam Darnold,
but
yeah.
you're not going to go. What's the point in going and getting, say, for example, Gray Zabel at 18? What's the point in going and getting Gray Zabel?
Apparently, he's getting he's getting a load of uplift that the Niners might take him at 11.
Your second biggest need, like you just said, is wide receiver. Well, what if Matthew Golden's still on the board at 18? You might as well take Matthew Golden in the first, and then in the second, you might get lucky and have Tyler Booker, or if he's not available, you're certainly going to have someone like Tate Ratledge available. So at that point, you're not getting a big fall off between, say, Gray Zabel and Tate Ratledge. Is the gap between the two skill sets is a lot smaller than Golden and Kyle Williams, for example, who could be
it could be a second round pick, but he's definitely a drop off from that level of first round, and that's what you find, isn't it? Usually these guys are first round caliber, and the second, third, fourth round caliber is quite noticeably different. This year, there are less first-round caliber players that elevate themselves to that sort of differential. And as you say, Nick, you could probably get a decent guard in the second where the drop-off, the difference between getting a guard, the first-round draft, guards in the first round versus guards in the second, the difference isn't like that much.
It's a very good draft for depth.
Yeah, it's a depth draft. It's not a good draft for high caliber. It's just quality deep, but not.
Or I will argue,
you've got your top 3 players. Okay, I think it's safe to say we've got 3 players at the top of the draft who are head and shoulders above everybody else, and then it's just a lot of good players of alike for rounds 2, 3, and 4.
Kind of disagree. So what I'm going to throw is there. You've got the high caliber players in the exciting position. So I'm going to talk Cam Ward, Travis Hunter. Edge is, I'm going to call it to an extent, sexy, right? It is a sexy pick because of the way the edges are, especially nowadays when you've got your Myles Garrett's in the NFL, your Trey Hendricksons, your TJ Watts. It is sexy.
Excuse me.
And Gary as well. We've got it's a sexy pit. It's a sexy position when it wants to be. No, I agree. I forgot to mention it in Hutchinson. Sorry.
And
When
what
you
and
want
what about
it,
Jared
It's
Verse?
Jared Verse.
Who?
I mean,
Jared Verse, he's
Who?
up there now.
the
He's pushing his
Seminole
way.
first year absolutely tore it up on the Rams. Absolutely
Yeah.
tore it up.
Nick, if you got any idea what's going on here,
BA.
I
I'm
think
lost.
I
Look, I
think,
mean,
and
you say the Edge is sexy, but
this
look
is just
at
me
how
being.
bad. Look at how bad the Lions were when Hutchinson went down. Right, Edge
This is just
sets
me
the
being
tone for the whole defensive
diplomatic,
line.
but I think
No.
Gary would like you to add Nick Bosa into the list of defensive end edges.
Fine. Fine.
And look, I was being diplomatic, and I was saying that Jared Verse should go in that list as well, and he's a Rams player. However,
So,
to my mind, he will and always will be a Seminole. So, you know,
he's not, I'm not talking he's like next level caliber, but he bloody good for the first year.
No.
the first year he made a difference, right? And that's the thing with, as you say, with what you say, Fletch, Edge has become a sexy position
Yeah.
for draft and for GMs and everybody because they do impact directly on games.
What they do, and when they play it well, it's an exciting position to watch. The amount of skill. I'm not obviously. I hate the term skill player because every single position on that field has some sort of has a high level of skill involved. So wide receiver, quarterback, that kind of thing. I hate calling them skill players because it differentiates almost that they've got skill and no one else has, right? But so I'm going to call them sexy picks because that's what we view them as and the further we go, the more the defensive edge position kind of grows, and as we get these kind of hybrid outside linebacker edges, the ones who can play and drop back into coverage and can still rush the quarterback and still stuff the run. These are becoming sexier picks. These are becoming sexier picks, but that's at the top level, like it kind of is with every pick. What I'd say is yes, we have a certain high caliber level of talent that is in the draft, and it's limited. That limited high, but what I will also say is there is still a very, very high caliber of talent. It's just not sexy positions. It's D tackles. It's some of those other uglier positions on the D line. DBs, I will throw these in with not necessarily beautiful. There are some brilliant DBs in here. Yes, I will toot Will Johnson's horn. That sounds like a euphemism. Not doing that, but I
Barron as
will
well.
stand in the corner
We've
of
had
someone like
Barron,
Will Johnson with Jade Barron. There are excellent players. Some guys on the O-line, but we just don't view them, I think, that position the same way or that pick the same way because it isn't a. They aren't going to be catching 60-yard deep balls or breaking up certain things. So I'm not going to say the talent's less. I'm just going to say it's in different places than we kind of want it to be that look flashy and get you up out of your seat.
Yeah, it's not
I
sexy,
think-
but the depth at running back and the depth at interior own line and the depth at defensive tackle is very deep in this draft. But those are not sexy fantasy football scoring positions that you often think about.
No, but you say about running back. I think Saquon Barkley this year just gone has done for the running back position what the likes of Hutchinson, Bosa, and all the other defensive ends did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you have another year like
Let's not detract from what the Ravens running back did as well. Whose name has completely escaped me. Christ. Somebody help me out.
Henry.
Thank you.
Derek Henry. But my point being, you've got Derek Henry, you've got Josh Jacobs, and you've got Saquon Barkley, who were huge three names who all had great years, good years this year. And I think, they're doing for running back what the defensive ends were doing 2 years ago. And if it continues on that trend, you'll see in 2 years the running backs being labeled, being
Back to
sought
being paid
after.
what they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It's one of those
the deepest of
bizarrely
all the classes this year.
this year
That's the
that
deepest of
this
anything.
year you can get talent at third, fourth, fifth round running backs. I mean, I'm seeing Scatterbo's going fourth round. I'm seeing potentially Gordon being available late fourth.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's ruined his NFL career by being
he
so
has completely. He's absolutely ruined it. But the skill set is there, and there are running backs that are going to go third, fourth, fifth round who are going to be long. I wouldn't say they're going to be stars, but they're going to have long NFL careers, and you'll get absolute quality at that level.
Obviously, Quishon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Trevelyan Henderson. We've not heard loads about them in terms of high level, like day one picks.
No,
I think probably the two running backs that I think I've seen mentioned for potentially day one. Obviously, Ashton Jones is the obvious one, and then Amari and Hampton is the other one, which I think is
late first though, right?
Denver
might pick him up. Yeah,
the one looking at.
I'm hearing Denver at Denver at 16, 15, 16 or whatever they are picking.
They're like 20. They're 22nd or something because they got to the playoffs, didn't they?
Of course they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they're one of those under the radar sneaky.
Yeah, I think they're either just before or just after the Steelers.
23, 24. And that sounds about right for Hampton. But But as you say, if you look at Nick's board...
You could pick up, like, say, a Cam Scatterbo. You could pick up a Caleb Johnson, a Trevelyan Henderson. All of these sort of third, potentially fourth.
Where's Donovan Edwards? Where you putting Donovan Edwards in your board, Nick?
Donovan Edwards.
Michigan. He's got to be in there round 3, 4.
He's not on my board because he wouldn't be in my top 7.
Right. So there you go. So an interesting one. Yeah. But I think, he'll be available in rounds 4 or 5. Someone will take a flyer on him and, it's a pretty decent running back for what you're going to get out of.
I've got what? I've got Genty, Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, Dylan Sampson at Tennessee, Caleb Johnson at Iowa, and Cam Scatbo. That's my 7.
That's your top 7 running backs. But the running, as Sam says, the running back class this time runs 10, 12, 15 deep.
Yeah.
You look at some of the others below it. I mean, Devin Neal is still going to be a solid picks for someone. Yeah. RJ Harvey from UCF. I think he had a very good season last season. Damian Martinez.
Didn't have a great season in Miami, but I think he got overshadowed by Cam Ward, and I think he'll still be a quality running back in the NFL.
Someone who picked up a lot of traction in the Pro Bowl, the
Pro Days Combine,
Senior
Bowl.
Was Bashal Tootin.
Yeah,
I think he picked up a lot of traction in that. Obviously, you've got Trevor Etienne. You've got someone who I was completely shocked when decided to declare was Jaden Blue from the Longhorns. I don't know why he decided to
not this year. Of all years to declare, this is the worst year of it.
So I've got Raheem Sanders on this list of sleepers. Now, he had a really slow start and he had a really poor finish. But that middle period of games from sort of like week 6 through to like week 10, he for South Carolina, he had a run of games that he was just a monster. And it's but he'll be lucky if he gets drafted.
To be honest, at the moment, Donovan Edwards on this list is ranked 29th out of 31 running backs.
Wow.
The fact
so he'll get picked up as an undrafted free agent and will probably be a...
Kalel Mullins is higher than him at 23 from Michigan.
Where's Martinez sitting on that list? Just
On this list, I mean, this is just I don't know even though where this is from. It's just on the ESPN website. They've got Martinez at 12. So the top 10 are Janty, Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, Johnson,
Martinez is at
Scatterbo,
80.
Dylan Sampson, who you mentioned, Devon Neal,
Yep.
DJ Giddens from Kansas State, Jordan James from Oregon, and then RJ Harvey's the 11th one. So
good depth. There's still, as you say, fourth, fifth, sixth round flyer on some of those running backs. They're plug and play. They're not going to light the world up.
But like I say, it's all then dependent on what people need. I mean, if you're wanting someone who's, basically going to just run down teams' throats, you probably want to be looking at someone like a Raheem Sanders, because he is just going to just blow through the middle a bit. But if you're wanting someone who's a bit more versatile, then you're probably looking at someone else, like someone like a Trevor Etienne. So I suppose that's where with these later picks, things all get muddled up.
All gets a bit weighty. You're like, why have you taken him over him? You're like, this guy's a better, higher draft pick. It's like, yeah, but as you say, this guy, so he'll run between the tackles, but that's not what you want at this point. You want a guy that you might throw in on third down who can bounce it outside and be a bit shifty, may play a bit of special teams and can catch it a bit.
Someone like Jaden Blue is someone who I think he'll be a special teams, like a returner special.
Yeah. And that's why Booten, I think, getting a bit of traction, as you mentioned there, because I think he's got a bit of special teams returner quality about him as well. I had him as a Niners drafting him because, hey, this is the Niners and we always draft running backs. Even though we've absolutely stacked at running back position, we'll still draft a couple this year because got compensatory picks and whatever else. We'll still take some running backs in the fifth.
Have we spoke about Cam Scatterby while I was away?
His name was mentioned.
Right.
We do think he's around 3.
He's down as the 6th on here, and I think Nick, did you have him 5th or 6th?
Nick's got him as 6th, I think.
I've got him 7th.
7th.
Yeah, so 6th and 7th.
Right.
As in 6th and 7th ranked running back, not 6th and 7th round draft pick.
No, 7th.
Or pick overall.
7th running back.
7th running back on his list, so probably going day 2, late 3rd.
Yeah, I would say third round.
Someone may draft up for him at a late 3rd for him, just in case, because he won't go. If there's a team that wants him and they're drafting late 4th, they'll probably package something to get him later in the 3rd, I would imagine.
I think the one thing I want to mention on running backs is just how the whole board, well, I say the whole board, who I thought starting the college football season in 2024 would be here are your 2 or 3 running backs to watch. Here are the
Judkins,
2 or 3...
Edwards, Henderson.
Yeah, and I'm also going to throw in Donovan Edwards. We all thought...
Did I not just say Judkins, Edwards, Henderson?
I didn't think you said... Sorry, I didn't hear you say Edwards.
And Hampton. So those are your 4 that I think everyone went.
Ollie
those
Gordon.
are guaranteed.
Ollie Gordon was one of them.
Ollie Gordon. We all thought. Well, I say we all thought that if anyone
I thought
was going to
Martinez
have an
would
Ashton
rip it up
Genty
when he went to
season,
Miami.
We thought Ollie Gordon was going to be Ashton Genty, and Ashton Genty turned out to be what we thought Ollie Gordon was going to be.
Ashton Genty turned out to be Barry Sanders,
and even better, right? But I genuinely thought Donovan Edwards was going to be fantastic because he was meant to be like, well, okay, it was disappointing seeing Blake Corum fall to the 3rd last year and fall back as far as he did because he was great in college. But I thought Donovan Edwards, I mean, he even got the cover of right at the front on the cover of College Football 25. You thought that this was going to be a special guy along with Ollie Gordon. But outcomes players like Ashton Genty and Amarian Hampton and whatnot. So
I thought at the beginning of the year, I thought Damian Martinez at Miami would rip it up in the ACC.
Yeah.
And he kind of did, but didn't.
So I
And
think
it's
this year it's disappointing it's going to be disappointing to watch day three and see certain names go when at the start of the season this is not. We thought they were going to potentially be.
day one players. Yeah.
Ollie Gordon was going to be a day oneer. That's what most people thought. Donovan Edwards, I thought, would have been early day two, those
Yeah.
kind of players, and now they're going to be late day threeers. That's where they're at. Khalil Mullins obviously is going to be. I think he's going to be an early day threer.
Et-
Just
Etienne was going to be better than his brother.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
Yeah.
was something that was said at the beginning of the season.
and it sounds really daft to say because I think Amari and Hampton's going to be really fun to watch. Ashton Genty is obviously going to be really fun to watch. People are looking at him going potentially sixth overall. Some
I'm
people,
hearing he's going fourth or fifth.
but
I'm hearing,
this is Ashton Genty is someone who's really exciting. Yeah, because we're
Mhm.
looking at potentially the Bears trading up. There's the news of the Bears and the Patriots having the
Yep,
pre
conversations.
the draft day agreement on unless if one of those top three, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or Cam Ward, or not Cam Ward even, if one of Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter somehow falls past the Giants, Patriots, like I've said on a million occasions, right? You are doing a hop, skip, jump, and flicking that card into Roger Goodell's face, like
Yeah.
go and make that pick now.
Yeah.
You have their numbers on 1 and 2 on speed dial. If but obviously if they don't come through,
If it goes as
Bears
standard,
go
if
up.
Ward goes, Hunter goes, Carter goes, Patriots are picking the
Patriots
phone up.
go back. Yeah.
Chicago are picking the phone up to the Patriots, going,
And
"We want Genty ahead of the Jags, just in case. Certainly ahead of the Raiders.
who they're coming up for, that's got to be Genty. Can only be
It's got to
Genty,
be
really.
Genty."
You're not coming up that far for someone who's not Ashton Genty, right?
Yeah.
So he could go as early as 4. He could go as late as 12, 13. This is where it's really interesting to see. And we've got that kind of level of talent. And then we'll talk about guys like Cam Scatterboo and Amari and Hampton. But actually, it does feel that little bit more disappointing in some names that were really exciting and not gonna go in those first 2 days. And
Mm.
but it also shows, and I think for most people who are still listening, who are
We are still here. Thank you for sticking with
who
us.
are watching that this is early in their college football watching. This is how drastically one bad season can change your whole perception in the NFL and drop you so far.
Mhm.
And it doesn't just
And it's
cost
only
you.
14 weeks as well.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's 14 weeks. It's a short space of time, and your team could stink. You could still be the running back that everyone thought you were, but your offensive line went down with injuries. Something happened. Your team just stunk it up a bit, and you didn't live up to. And this is it. They don't live up to the preseason hype that analysts and everybody else give them. Therefore, suddenly they're a bust. Suddenly they're no good. Suddenly they're not draft quality, or suddenly they're not first round quality, or whatever else. And it's so it's disappointing to think of, as you say, Fletch. These names that we thought would get drafted early 1-2s go 3 and 4. And the reason it's disappointing, it's not that they've got drafted to the NFL. It's that by being drafted in day 3 on round 3, 4, 5. They only get, I don't know, this is where it gets silly when you say they only get, but their signing bonus goes from a first round signing bonus of tens of millions of dollars to being drafted in the third or fourth round. You only get a couple of million or a couple of 100,000. And it's insane to throw these numbers around, but that's the kind of impact it has on these players. And, a rough,
of
bad
money.
season for your team absolutely detrimentally affects your first contract in the NFL.
Yeah, it's a lot of money you
It's
lose
a
on.
lot of money to drop from the first to the second.
I just wanted to get, obviously, I know Nick, you're probably going to mention, obviously, you might want to look at, we've been going for what, an hour and a half now already, but
Well, Nick
I just
needs to
wanted
get
to
to
get
bed because
your,
he's got to drive in the morning. So
yeah. I just wanted to get, because a position that I'm sort of interested in more of as the later picks, and when we talk about sleeper picks, is wide receiver. And I just wonder, because there's 2 particular wide receivers that I'm looking at that are late, that are probably going to be later picks. That I would quite like to see potentially the Rams go for? I know we don't have a lot of picks, but I just wanted to get your view on who is sort of your later round sort of sleeper picks
So
for
the
the
So you're
three,
wide
assuming they don't
receiver
take a
position.
wide receiver in the first?
What, the Rams? No.
the three wide receiver sleepers I've got two traditional sleepers
All right.
in Ty Felton from Maryland and Samuel Brown from Miami.
Okay.
Yep.
The other one that I've got down as a sleeper because he is dropping quicker than
The proverbial
any,
stone.
yeah, is Isaiah Bond from Texas. This
Yeah.
guy,
Nobody
with
wants
all
to
his
touch him with a
issues,
barge pole.
yeah, with all his issues, he is dropping quicker than you can imagine. But Ty
Mm.
Felton and Samuel Brown are the two wide receivers I've got that, they are still going to be available probably in round 6, maybe beginning around 7. And, they've got decent production. They've got, potential, they're camp bodies. They're
Mhm.
probably not going to make a final roster, but they might make a practice squad.
Because there's two that I'm really interested in, and I'm not sure where they're going to fall or whether they even get drafted, but just based upon how good of a season they had in college, is Xavier Restrepo. I really like him, and I have started when I've been doing fantasy drafts. He's a player I've been picking up a lot of,
You can
and
get him cheap. He's
yeah,
dropping. People are not picking him.
the other one is Nick Nash. Now, he's one that probably a lot of people haven't really spoken about, but I think if you look at his physique more than anything, and we talk about especially slot receivers, especially from a Rams perspective, and we're talking about obviously Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, the likes of those, and how brilliant they've been over the last few years. Nick Nash is he's 6'3", he's 200 odd pound, but he is a slot receiver. That's his skill set, is a slot receiver. And for me, he is someone I would quite like to see. Not necessarily, I mean, the Rams don't need a slot receiver, but I think he would be an interesting pick for a team who are looking at a slot receiver because he has the physical capabilities of being a good wide receiver. I think just, I don't know whether it's maybe his college, because obviously
He's
with him being
only
at
I mean,
San Jose,
he's
he's
I
only
don't know if
played
that's
2 years at receiver. He was a quarterback initially.
and
yeah.
also add in the fact that there are 25-year veterans that are younger than he is in the NFL. He's
True.
old. He's nearly 26. I think that doesn't help
He will be
his
undrafted.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he'll be an XFL special or something.
Xavier Williams.
Xavier
Xavier
Restrepo will
Williams.
go third round, I think. I think Xavier
Xavier Williams,
Restrepo
I
will
think,
go
is
third
a
round.
sleeper.
Um, no, I agree. Xavier Restrepo was one of the names I was going to bring up as well.
Yeah,
I think he would be
he's a
a
player I
sleeper.
really like. And I know that obviously
I've
if
got.
anyone's
I think.
watching, there was one other that got drafted obviously Gary, you were in part of it. But one that got picked for the Rams was Jalen Royals,
Yeah.
which is I think he got
Utah
taken in the
State.
second in this, but
Something. So you got taken way too high than he should have done. But yeah,
yeah,
Right.
Utah State, not bad. I've got a sneaky feeling that I don't know why, but I got the Niners. I got a feeling the Niners are going to go and get that guy from UNLV.
Horton.
No, the
White.
other.
I think
Well,
He's Colorado, isn't he?
White.
Tory Horton.
White.
yeah, yeah,
Is it White?
yeah. Ricky White.
Ricky White. What name?
Ricky White the third, not just Ricky White, but Ricky White the third. I think he's going to be one of those late rounds. They take a flyer on him and they shove him in at slot and they shove him in at returner and stuff like that.
He's
Um,
too
so go on.
too small.
Yeah.
Um, My last question, and this is going to be really, really quick. I just want to fly this round the group. I know we've got to kind of look at getting off. Now, the game that we all watch and love is called football. What round does the first person who uses their foot go? Now, don't forget, we have recently had in a draft a kicker go as early as the fourth round.
Yep.
Thanks to
Third
Jake
the
round.
Moody.
Niners.
Jake Moody,
Um,
fourth round.
what
And
round?
hey, at least the Knowles were good at this. So the number one punter and the number one kicker are both Florida State. So they're both if
Well, that's because most of the season you were either kicking it away or hoping for the best for kicking for 3 points. It's not exactly
yes.
something to celebrate.
Or
I'm
punting?
not saying I'm celebrating it. I'm just saying it's the only highlight of the season that we've got. So let us take that. Well, that and Thomas at cornerback is your third cornerback on your
I
board.
I
Azaria Thomas. Where's Azaria Thomas sit on your board?
Seventh cornerback.
He's eighth on this list, below Benjamin Morrison, who I would not shake a stick at bringing him in to the Rams.
Good tackling, right? He's a good tackling.
Not Ben Morrison at 5.
No. So I
What
reckon sixth round.
Sixth round. Nick.
Sixth, yeah, I draft in the on the Patriots touchback last night. We all did our mock drafts, and 4 of us had the Patriots picking Fitzgerald, because he's been and done a visit at the Patriots and what have you, and all 3 of us had us taking him in the beginning of the 7th round, except me, who had us taking him right at the end of the 5th with one of the Dallas compensatory picks that we got.
Yeah.
I'd be reluctant to leave him on the board later than 6 because I think someone might snap him up. So that pick right at the end of the 5th round that the Patriots have got from Dallas, that'd be the pick that I'd really like to take Fitzgerald with, because I think he'll still be on the board, but he won't be there long.
Yeah.
There's not a
big.
big list of kickers this year, is there?
No.
No.
I'm just looking at the ones I've got here, and I've got Andres Borregales from Miami, Ryan Fitzgerald, obviously from Florida, Tyler Loop from Arizona, and Ben Sauls from Pittsburgh.
Also throwing Caden Davis from Ole
Caden
Miss.
Davis at Ole Miss.
And then you've got 2 punters on my list, which was just James Burnip and Jeremy Crawshaw. But that'll probably be,
Mastramo. No, Mastromanamar, whatever his name is.
I was so hoping you'd have the USC kicker and punter and just say his name. I'd love to hear someone actually get his name correct.
Eddie Kradzapaliki.
There you go. Crapakiki.
we'll have to look this up.
I'm so sorry, Eddie Kraplicky. That was
the College Football UK podcast. Thank you and good night.
But yeah, so appreciate you
Eddie,
all.
isn't that CZ? Isn't that like a sap?
Like a ch.
To be saplicky.
I thought it was more of a ch. Because CZECH would be Czech for the Czech Republic. So there was a Chaplicky.
Possibly.
Does it matter?
Does it really matter? No.
It only matters.
Call him Eddie.
Eddie Big Leg.
Eddie, not the Eagle.
It only matters for the person who maybe
has to print his name on the back of a shirt.
No, that bit's probably going to be. No one's printing the name on the back of the shirt. His parents aren't even getting his name on the back of the shirt, right?
That's harsh.
Wow, they're getting his brother. They're getting his brother's shirt.
It's the problem for, at the end of the day, that pick has to get announced on stage. Now that pick's going to be done by someone who entered the competition on the back of a box of Cheerios, and somehow won it. That person who's had a couple of beers and a day out in Green Bay, it's them who's got the problem.
Apparently, it's Chaplitsky. Is how you would pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
basically, they're going to be given a draft card by the NFL executive or the NFL media that has that spelled out and how to pronounce it.
last
It's
one,
Charplitsky.
Yeah.
last one,
Charplitsky.
and on that note, so many teams, because of just the way it goes, they get a lot of different people to announce the pick. What round does the first person call in live from the UK to
Call in
the
from the
pick?
UK because I update the Bengals. Unfortunately, the international fan of the year for the Bengals, the UK guy Paul, has been unable to fly to Wisconsin because of a family emergency. So he was down to do the third or fourth round pick for the Bengals live from the podium. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, Paul has had to pull out from that, which is a real shame for him.
Yeah.
I do think that the Jags will have a UK call in on the third round, probably
Third round.
because of the Jags being
Yeah, they'll
the
do it
de
live
facto UK
from
team
Wembley or
now.
something.
Yeah.
I do like those ones that they won in Ireland last year live from right on the coast. I can't remember where in Ireland it was. Did one from Australia live on the coast with
Because I can imagine the Rams pick being one from Australia with them announcing that they're going to be in Australia
yeah. So
in 2026.
Brazilian one, so it'll be a Brazilian one as well, right?
but I'm thinking more specifically, who's the one doing it live from the UK? Not who, but what round?
Captain Duval or whatever his name is, the guy who always dresses up as a Jaguar, paints his
Fourth
face.
round.
And
Fourth round?
Fifth
Yeah.
round.
Fifth round. I'm gonna go
Oh.
second.
Oh, big.
I'm gonna say second. So with that in mind, thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, go to the links in the description of the episode. Next week, we're not going to dwell too much on what's happened during the draft this year. What we're going to do is we're going to focus, because it's never too early to focus on next year's draft. The players you need to watch in college football this year who could be having their names read out on stage next year.
Who is the number one consensus draft pick for 2026?
That we will see.
2025.
2026.
26.
26.
26. Yeah,
That-
Cam Ward is the consensus 2025 draft pick, number
That
one,
will
right?
be ours,
Jurala.
because as Nick said before we left, they're dead to us now on this podcast. They're gone. They've gone to the NFL.
Don't count anymore.
You know what we didn't do, and I just realised we didn't do, but it's, we can. It doesn't. Oh, maybe for next year. Didn't go over the guys I said to look at and how well they did.
No.
We never did it.
Because at the beginning of the
And you know
season,
what?
there were the
I've
players to
forgotten
watch.
half of them.
To be fair, I did have a note in my phone, and I've probably not even got that note. Well, somewhere deep down in my notes that I can't find.
I know Avery Johnson was on there, and you get to watch him this year in Ireland. So
Yes.
there you go. There's a place to look out for this year.
Yeah. So
But
yeah. So tune in next week. We're going to talk about players that you need to look out for next year for next year's draft, because we're moving on to the new college football season already. That's what we're going to do. Enjoy your draft weekend. Tune into Hurdle the Line on Monday to hear the recap of the draft next week with us. And then obviously they'll be recapping the Patriots draft over on the Pat's Touchback on Tuesday as well. That'll be live on the Pat's Touchback channel. Follow us, come see us, and we will see you next week.